Happy friggin' Thursday to everybody. Welcome to another day in Bitcoin land. I'm going to start doing some YouTube live shows Tuesdays and Thursdays at the same time, 10:30 a.m. New York Central Time. New York time, New York State time. And what I'll do here is I'll start off with general Bitcoin analysis, and then I'll go through some questions that y'all might have, and we'll rock and roll from there. Can somebody leave me a quick comment making sure I'm actually live, you can see me? Because I'm not used to doing live stuff outside of Discord. All good. Looks good. Rock and roll. Okay. YouTube was giving me an alert that the resolution was not optimal, so I'm glad you can see everything. I might make the... Alright, peace. I would rather do live long and prosper. I'm getting into the Star Trek stuff. What we're having with Bitcoin, it looks like a resolution of a range. This is my macro range that I have set up with the point of control. Bitcoin has been respecting it rather well. No, I cannot hear you all. Now on my Discord live calls, those are, people are on their microphones and, sometimes turn on their camera, and we're all chatting there as a group. I did a 2.5-hour rodeo last night across all three tiers, but on YouTube Live, no, I don't. I don't even think that's possible. All right. Anyway, this appears to be a very clear range resolution. Something that I did not come up with myself. Rather, it was a VIP that I had. He showed me a little trick that I do as well, but he applied it in a way that I hadn't thought to apply it. Let me get rid of this watermark. It's a little annoying. Is take the same macro range and tilt it. And if you do that, this is the new point of control. And as of now, Bitcoin price is having trouble entering it. Under this circumstance, it isn't even a range resolution. Rather, if you zoom in, it appears that Bitcoin is more at threat of getting rejected by the point of control. And when price movement, over the next few days, after whatever it does and it pans out, I will then know which one, might work a little bit better, because it depends on the points of, so this is going back a whole year. This is January of last year. And the macro range that's not tilted has gotten a ton of points, extremely right. For example, this being within the point of control, this being within the point of control, and you would think that this is leaving it. However, this would imply that this move here was a bear trap below the point of control, right? And this move down was leaving the point of control, getting rejected by the point of control, and then coming straight down to the bottom. And the bottom aligns pretty well too. It gets the tops exactly to the wick highs, and all these lines, so this line, that line are all parallel to the top one, which connects the wick high. And there's a lot of agreement. And this is the main thing on my mind right now. Is I'm interested to see what plays out over the next few days to see which range is working out better. So let's go ahead and compare them one more time. I'll take this one off and put on the macro range. And again, this is applying that it's going to be a breakout up to at least 49K, because it looks like this range has been, like the point of control has been, broken. And you would think that price is going to do something like that. And now I'll take this macro range off, put on the other tilted macro range, and that would imply that it goes above the point of control. And if that were to happen, something to this effect, then I would know, hey, maybe the macro range that is not tilted works a little bit better. However, if Bitcoin, does something a little bit different, either gets rejected from current, let me zoom in, from current price action, or I mean from this current point of control, and or touches this line exactly, which this line does not show up on the horizontal, then I'll probably start using this tilted one a little bit more and then add my other lines. I'd find out where is my 3/4 line. I'd probably, bring something up like here, do that. And this would imply a breakout closer to 50, 58, but I would have to make all my other lines. So I'm very interested to see what happens now. One thing, and let's see here. One thing to keep an eye out on is, I would say perhaps one thing that I'm keeping my eye out on is typically when Bitcoin, this is the RSI of the daily. Typically when you have that much separation and you just zoom up, oftentimes there is a point, even when you need to form a higher low, Bitcoin needs to come back down, this RSI, to touch the EMA at some point, typically before it gets here. And if Bitcoin does want to zoom all the way up with this RSI to the green zone before touching this, usually it comes down a lot harder. And you're going to have a lot bigger move down. Over the next several days, that's another key thing that I'm looking for in terms of the overall health of this run. However, if there is a down move that, doesn't crash down, let's say stays above 40,900, roughly the 41K area, I would assume that it's simply going to be a higher low on price action as the RSI wants to retest this, and that would create a healthier run up the rest of the way. Therefore, the RSI right now is indicating that this run is getting a little bit to the point of unhealthy, similar to how it did not check the EMA way back here, and it really came down hard back in late October. It wasn't. This was not a sustainable run. It was too hot, too fast. Right now, it's only in the it is coming from much lower. It is indicating this might be a little too hot, too fast, and that a pullback would be healthy. However, it doesn't mean that Bitcoin has to do that. Bitcoin can come all the way up here. It simply wasn't healthy, and therefore its correction is going to be a lot deeper. That's another thing that I'm going to keep my eye out on over the month of February is the health status. Essentially, taking this run up to the doctor and getting a health checkup. And right now, let's take a look at the traditional markets. I posted on Twitter how Bitcoin and traditional markets have done the exact same thing this morning. They've each made a U. So diving with the morning before the traditional markets open, coming straight back up a U shape at the same exact hour, right? So this happened at 8:30 in the morning, and then you go to Bitcoin. Also, 8:30 in the morning, the same 5-minute candle, and the same 5-minute recovery. It's the exact same chart. And so this chart right here are the futures for the NASDAQ Composite. And let's go ahead and go to the futures for, and this is a totally different chart. This is the futures for the S&P 500. And again, this 5-minute candle, this one happened a couple minutes earlier at 8:25. But within the same 5-minute time frame, all come up straight down and then straight up. And one thing that within the community we've been really focusing on are these the futures charts, because it helps us understand, especially the opening moves and how Bitcoin is going to likely move within the opening hours of the trading day when traditional markets open. That's when Bitcoin gets a lot of volatility. And right now the volatility, it's almost at the same point it opened at, right? It's only probably 0.25% different. No, it's 0.75% different. That's one thing in those tickers for you all who are on here. You can see them behind here. That's the futures for the NASDAQ Composite. NQ1 exclamation. It's something, and if you just follow that one, that's probably good enough. Because I feel that Bitcoin follows that one a little bit more closely than the others. And I'll go ahead and check out Ethereum. Quick health checkup on Ethereum here. Check out the health of this run by using the daily RSI. And again, this looks like it's a little too hot, too fast. And in order to have a healthier and more sustainable run up, historically, both Ethereum and Bitcoin need to come down and check this this moving average. So the white line that I'm tracing is the moving average of the daily RSI. It needs to come down, and oftentimes it does it when the moving average is crossing this horizontal neutral line. So I guess, you could have a couple more days of upside, but in order for that move to be sustainable and not come crashing back down to the to the high 30s, you're likely going to need a retest of that for both Ethereum and Bitcoin. However, in this moment, one thing to note is that Ethereum is technically still playing catch up with Bitcoin. This is the previous local high of Ethereum, and current price is under it. But Bitcoin, on the other hand, the previous local high, it is above it. So structurally, Bitcoin is definitely leading the market. It is definitely leading Ethereum right now, and the implications of that is if Bitcoin can come down and make a higher low somewhere for a more sustainable run. Once that happens and Ethereum follows Bitcoin, I feel that Ethereum on the next pump up could be more aggressive in order to make up for that distance that Bitcoin has on it. And I would be interested in looking at that as well, perhaps entering spot trades or futures trades on Ethereum, because I think the makeup distance would be could be pretty nice to catch that wave. Let's see here. What else do we got? What do I think is going to happen the rest of the day today? I mean, it's in the middle of the range. I honestly don't know it, but as of right now, I would guess Bitcoin is going to play somewhere between current price 55 or 45 to 47.5. I would guess it will try to play within this range today, and I wouldn't expect today's candle to get over this. So this is the tilted range point of control, because it looks like it's getting this pretty accurately. So I'm going to go with that analysis for today, that Bitcoin will at most play in this upper range, and if there is a range breakout from the point of control of the non-tilted macro range, that 47.5 would be the highest that it goes. However, if you wanted to try to make that same line to figure out, okay, is Bitcoin going to get an actual rejection here? I connected the wick high of January 14. This is the line it's dancing on. The wick high of January 14. And if you want to draw that on your chart, the wick high of July 31st. And then exactly to current price. And the recent wick high that we just had here. And that would be the line to really look at. If Bitcoin can get above that, let's say even a 4-hour close, that would probably, very, very likely, initiate a move. I mean, even today, up to 47.5. It would likely move straight up there. However, as of now, it's struggling to get above that line. If you zoom in on this chart, I mean, just look how accurate this is. Quick wick above, rejection from it. You had this previous rejection from it. I think this is the line to be focusing on for today to get the get the momentum with the correct move. All right, and that would be, now for downside, if it does get rejected, I wouldn't see a mega downside today. However, throughout the weekend, I would strongly guess that Bitcoin comes back down to 40,900. There is a CME gap down here, right here. I would say that there's a strong likelihood that Bitcoin fills that gap over the weekend if there can't be a 4-hour closure above that ascending line, that tilted line. And those would be my two targets over the next, I would say over the next 4 days until Monday, 4 to 5 days. Downside down to potentially 40,700 from now till Monday, and upside 47,500. And those would be my top and bottom targets, depending on either the rejection or break above this ascending tilted line here, point of control. And do I want to make a guess on which one will happen? I mean, I don't know if it's healthy to try to make that guess, because you're going to be able to see it. If there's a 4-hour candle close above here, then the guess should be this, 47,500. If it keeps getting rejected, then your guess should be 40,009, just under 41K, a wick under 41K. However, I don't know if it's healthy to guess that until this gets resolved. Either you get a full-on rejection, or you get a break above with a 4-hour closure. So a 4-hour candle has to close above, and the next one starts before then your guess is a strong guess. But as of now, since it's still playing with this line, I think either guess is, it's either they're just as weak or strong as the other. I don't know if it would be appropriate to make the guess right now. However, I think it's better to know which targets exist and when your guess becomes a good one. And that's how I would rock and roll with that. All right, let's see here. Let me see if we can. Let's see if we can rock and roll with some questions here. It already went down to 41K. No, this gap has not been filled. So look at it. This is the CME chart on the. Let's even go to the hour. And I'll make a box. Here's the gap. That has not been filled. So price has not gone down to there since that gap has happened. Yes, was price at 41K before that? Sure, but that's not the meaning of the gap, right? Once the gap is made, typically price wants to revisit it. Historically, it's within 9 days. So how many days along are we? But typically, it's within 2 days. There are very few gaps that go unfilled longer than 9 days. So we're only sitting at 3 days right now, still within normal parameters. Why did price recover this quickly? I would say that it's all about traditional markets. Traditional markets opened very specifically at filling traditional market gap made on the 2 days ago. It started here exactly, filled the gap, went up. And in order to fill that gap, so this is the NASDAQ composite. The futures of NASDAQ composite, you'll be able to see a lot of red, which created this opening down here. So this stops trading. This only trades 7 hours a day or something, right? So when I flip charts, you'll see a bunch of red down here right before markets open, and then markets open right there, and then they all charged up. So watch. It's because Bitcoin's just following traditional markets. See that? So traditional market futures charged down specifically right before the markets opened, stayed there until the markets opened, so that gap on the non-futures chart could fill, and once markets opened, then it charged up to complete that gap fill. And that's why Bitcoin did it. It's because Bitcoin is being essentially driven by, almost all of the price action on Bitcoin, it's very clearly from hedge funds or, some automated trading desks or just trading desks connected to the stock market. It's exactly the same. There are, retail investors, whales, outside of Wall Street, they're not moving Bitcoin. Bitcoin is moving exactly with traditional markets. So that would be my answer. And that's a pretty common way that gaps are filled on traditional markets is that right before the market opening, the futures will tank right before 9:30 a.m. New York time. They'll stay down there, and then once markets open, they'll buy it right back. And if you wanted to learn more in depth on that, you would just Google, why do gaps need filled? There's a lot of theory on it. I'm not going to go into that. I'm only I could only scratch the surface on, good information on that. But that would be, if you wanted to go more in depth in the answer, why that happens so regularly, you would just want to look into that. And it applies to Bitcoin as well, the CME gap. So the Bitcoin chart, the Bitcoin CME chart is just BTC1 exclamation. If you could see it right here, I'm circling the ticker. That's what you would type in. And it's the same type of theory applies on why gaps are filled. That's a good question. Can I start entering spots? That's something I go over pretty heavily within the Discord community. I don't know if I want to give you a specific answer to that. Not just because we're not on Discord, but this is, YouTube Live. I don't know if I want to give that type of, pseudo financial advice. I can tell you what I'm personally doing. I'm personally waiting before I enter spot trades. I want to see what happens here. It's still tinkering with this line. I'm not entering until it resolves one way or the other. I don't now. What some people, more aggressive traders, would do outside of what I'm doing is they would simply make the guess. I think it's going to come up here. I think Bitcoin's going to go straight to 47.5. I don't know if it's going to happen, but that's my guess. So because that's my guess, I will enter spot trades and I will set stops, to be fully out of my position for risk management purposes, just in case it does get rejected and it comes back down. I manage my losses here. That would be another way to do it, so that you're in the trade early. However, my general rule of thumb for me on a personal level, and something I go over a lot within Discord and try to talk to people about, is typically when you are in the middle of any type of range, it doesn't matter if it's a macro range or a micro range or whatever, I don't enter or try to play around when price is in the middle of a range. Bitcoin right now is not, just it's in the middle of the range. I want to see either a higher low, even if it is a higher low within the middle of the range, but just zooming up, I don't want to trade into that. That's me personally. That's kind of a rule for myself that I don't like to follow the rule. It's simply over time I've forced myself to follow that rule. I don't try to trade in the middle of the range. Now, if you zoomed into this, you would have a different micro range in which Bitcoin is likely at the top of it, and you could trade a breakout of that. If you're on the 5-minute chart or the 1-hour chart, that would be a different range. But in terms of a spot trade that you're planning on holding on to for several days at a time, I think this is a fairly poor time to do that. However, there's always a way to trade on very, very short time frames if you're practiced at it and you are in and out of your trades within a day. So that would be my answer. I think that's more of an answer than it is a non-answer. I told you what I'm personally doing and perhaps what other more aggressive folks would do. But I'm personally not trading aggressively in an environment when it was a downtrend for so long and the trend is just now changing. That's when things get wishy-washy, right? Is our trend reversals as it's reversing, because Bitcoin has so many fake outs when it looks like it's reversing. One of my my Twitter posts from recently, in this scenario, when you are in a daily downtrend, over the last 2 years, there have been 9 instances of that situation. A daily downtrend converts to an uptrend over the last 2 years. 5 of those times, it continued up. 4 of those times, it tanked back down and actually made lower lows. And it was a fake out 4 of those 9 times in this same situation. Daily downtrend converts to an uptrend. Plus, it's in the middle of the range. So right now, it's nearly a 50-50 of, you get continuation or you get a fake out. The statistics do slightly lean towards continuation. And you have, I would say, mid-large time frames, things like let me take off this range. You have some mid-large time frames. So the monthly still, it doesn't look good, actually. But you have some mid-large time frames, with Stokes crossing up, and they get some pretty good play historically. So your mid-large time frames like the 2-day and the 5-day are saying pressure's up, and the move will continue up, and therefore that would be my guess. However, that for me personally, given that it's in the middle of the range, this tilted range is indicating this could be a rejection. Even with those mid-large time frames like the 2-day to 5-day saying this is going to keep charging up, it really those time frames specifically say Bitcoin's going to charge up past 47K. But that for me, it's just not good enough for me to want to enter, specifically during a time where a trend is reversing, and the score over the last 2 years is 5-4, 4 fakeouts, 5 continuations. I don't like those odds, even though the 2-day and 5-day are saying up. But other analyses are saying, it's still in question. So I don't like what I'm seeing. 𝘾𝙤𝙣𝙣𝙐𝙐 𝙒𝙧𝙚. That is quite a name. 𝘾𝙤𝙣𝙣𝙐𝙐 𝙒𝙚. Welcome to the Cryptillion tier. All right. Why it recovered so fast? Yeah, sure. No, I mean, so short squeeze. I don't think a short squeeze can happen this low. After I don't. Maybe it's squeezing. Very recent shorts. But I think most shorts that are in the market have entered here. I don't think, in terms of raw dollars, the value of the shorts, I don't think the vast majority of shorts have entered here. Therefore, I think it's not possible that this could be named a short squeeze. Now, this could be a short squeeze because people thought they wanted to short here, got out, shorted again, held on, shorted again, added to the shorts, held on, and then whoop. That would be a short squeeze because it's going, it's more going up, and people are layering on, expecting a down move. But this far down, in this segment, I don't think it's even possible to label that a short squeeze. However, I think it could be whiplashy stuff getting over leverage. People using 10 to 50x leverage. People who are playing short-term time frames who recently entered shorts, I could squeeze them, but I don't think that would be. I don't think that still would classify this as a short squeeze, unless you specifically state that it is a short squeeze only on short-term time frames and recent participants. But on the macro scale of things, I don't think it's possible that it's a short squeeze. All right. No, that's a good question, though. So what do you want, a cookie or what? No, I don't eat cookies in the morning. I'd rather have steak and eggs and fried cubed potatoes with salt, with seasoned salt, Lowry seasoned salt. That'd be what I eat. And coffee. Yeah, no cookies in the morning for me. Can I start entering spots? Okay, what else? Capitulation. So, okay, Lukey asked a good question. Yes, 20K is still in play. For 2022. I'm not saying by February or by April. It is absolutely in play. Look, check this out. This is the monthly chart. As Bitcoin comes down to the top of this channel, there's very often, or more likely than not, a green candle after it touches the top. Look, touches the top, green candle, touches the top again, green candle, then falls in. Touches the top, green candle. What's the bottom of this range? 23K. But this wick below it, this wick below it, and if you draw this line out here, this wick below it, a wick below, is 20K. For the year of 2022, I honestly think it would be on the point of purposely, I think that, so folks who, would say, oh, it's not in play 2022, I think that mindset either is unaware of a chart like this on larger time frames or is actively choosing to ignore extremely strong evidence of a decent possibility, if not a strong possibility. Is it possible to say it's probable it hits it? Or is it justifiable to say it's very likely, like over 50% chance? I don't know. However, the evidence is extremely strong that the percentage likelihood of it happening this year, it's well over 10%. It might be, it's probably closer to 50% chance than a 10% chance. There's no way to really calculate the exact chances, right? Especially with so few iterations and a young asset with 12, ish years of price history. I don't think there's a way to put an exact number on it. But yeah, it's absolutely in play. Extremely in play. How can you ignore this? Right? Touch the channel, green candle. Touch channel, green candle. Then goes wicks below it. Touch the channel, green candle. Then goes into it. I mean, even this one. Touches the channel, green candle. Then goes into it. It's the monthly 21. You're going to get a bounce. February and the beginning of March could be the bounce. Before then, breaks below it. It's that simple. Yeah, absolutely is in play. Now, isn't in play for next month? No, I don't think it would turn around next month and then go. It would probably be, at this point, April at the earliest. April at the earliest. However, if you check out my origin, if you search my channel for origin wave theory, that, and I made that back in November or December, I don't know what month, but that long-term analysis for 2022 was suggesting a summer to late summer capitulation. So it was actually anticipating a bounce after this downside before a capitulation. The entire theory of what this cycle is going to look like specifically anticipated a bounce before capitulation. And I made that analysis before all this severe downside. I might have made it at the beginning of this candle in December, before Bitcoin went all the way down to 33K. But it was specifically integrating a bounce before then. Now, is that what's going to play out? I don't know. This could be the first time that Bitcoin chooses not to come down here, and it's all of its price history, and it just accumulates, and it really charges up. You get a massive charge up. That is possible. However, I think that is less likely than the bottom of this channel being hit, because it would be the first time ever. Therefore, I would state that it is less likely. All right. No, that was a good question. Soft eggs, yes. Micro versus macro. Okay, macro are things like monthly and weekly. Where you can, so macro means when you're on that time frame, you can see years and years and years of price history. That's macro. So right now, this chart is macro, because you can see back to 2012. That's macro. Micro is, 5-minute chart. I can only see back to today, right? This is the micro time frames. And you can trade on both. You just click around a lot more on micro time frames. It's like a different world, similar to, if, just very general physics terms, it's the difference between, staring out at the sky or studying animals, which is more of the macro stuff, versus using electron microscopes and then theorizing about quantum mechanics. And one of the biggest challenges in physics, is to unite the quantum with cosmology. Cosmology not as in makeup, but cosmology in terms of Einsteinian physics working on larger scales, but not within the micro. It's the same thing. It's another universe. The micro is literally the quantum universe for price action, not just Bitcoin, for all assets. So that would be what I state, or how I would answer that question. It's very similar to the real world, micro and macro. Totally different types of math, totally different types of theory. It's completely different. Hey, Noda. All right, can you give us some idea coverage? Yeah, sure. All right, I'm going to have to wrap this up in probably 15 minutes, so you can start piling on some questions here. I will do this 10 to 21. Okay, so I have on an EMA fill here, and you can see, let me even take off price. You can see that there's typically some continuation once the daily 10, when it's on bottom, that means this is red. Daily 10 on top, that means it's green. It's very close to getting what I would call a squeeze play. So this EMA fill allows you to see the squeeze play. It looks like it's going to get some form of continuation. And if you put on, just a fractal of this, you would assume that at minimum, it's going to do something to that effect. So I would say, assuming that this squeeze play can happen and Bitcoin doesn't, head right back down, and this is obviously depending on Bitcoin. I mean, I think this could easily go up to 23, 25 cents, if not slightly higher, because this is a smaller version of it where it got about the least amount of continuation. So that would be your mid time frames analysis there, which I think is probably a better way to go on this. And again, Bitcoin can absolutely ruin the party for this, and it could just get a blip of a squeeze play where it only turns green for a day, and then it heads right back down, and then it turns red again. That is possible, but historically, and that's not just with idea, with altcoins, usually when you get this, there is a decent amount of continuation, which is also happening on Bitcoin, which does suggest Bitcoin will continue going up. So Bitcoin's has turned, and there are very, very few fake outs. The last fake out was back here, which was the lower high on Bitcoin, as those, hedge funds and whatever folks setting up this massive move down on Bitcoin. It was a coordinated attack. They were also specifically buying Ethereum and Cardano, screaming them up to all-time highs as Bitcoin only did this, and it was one big trap. So they could take on a bunch of shorts, and that's what. So could this end up looking like that, where it barely, it's a squeeze play fake out? It could, but typically when you zoom out, it does get some good continuation. I mean, this is one of the smaller reiterations. Not to say that price will move in this exact way, but this is implying, another 52K target, which does align with a local high on Bitcoin, which would imply that, it's got a strong chance of getting continuation at least to 50, just above 50K. And I think there are slightly more evidences of continuation to the upside than a fake out. I think there are. I just feel that it's not quite enough for me to want to fully go enter, but it's getting close. It's getting really close. Julio Perales. Hey, Julio, I can't see a question. Oh, no. Okay. Can you analyze DIZ patas? D's patas. What? DIZ, please, maybe. All right. DIZ. Copper, silver mines. Is that what you want, Julio? Try to give me a yes or no over there. so I can know if I'm looking at the right thing. Then I'll take a look at Solana next. Julio, let me know if I'm looking at the right chart. It looks like from the weekly chart, the RSI has gotten above. Okay, good. Yeah, it looks like it's going to get some continuation. The weekly RSI has been able to make higher lows and get above its moving average of the RSI. And typically that's, so you can see back here, the RSI, it didn't make a higher low, but it got above the EMA, made the higher low then, and got continuation to the upside. Does that mean it's going to scream up to all-time highs? No, it'll probably go up to the top of, whatever range it's been in. And I would say it has a very strong chance. I would say it has a very strong chance of coming directly up to 852. Will it go directly up, next week? No. I mean, it looks like it could actually take a while to get there. Something to... Well, it does actually get some pretty massive moves sometimes. So it's going to be hard to tell how fast it gets up there. I would say... That took 100 days. 100. Yeah, I would say... by August to September, it's going to hit 850. That would be my guess. August, September, October. So late summer to early fall, I would do something like this. Make a box somewhere like there. I would strongly anticipate it hits that. It doesn't look like it's going to keep making lower lows. It looks like this is a bounce. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be bouncing off of this low from over here. And that the bounce is real. Now, will it full on recover throughout the next year? I'm not for sure. It could come up and hit this and then crash through there. But I think what is more likely is it looks like it could come up, either come back down to the range and resolve one way or the other, or it could come up here, make a higher low in the middle, somewhere like this, and then try to break out. But yeah, it looks like it's charging. It's going to charge right up to 850 and change by late summer, without a full on breakdown. I don't think it's going to break below this line before it hits up there. So most of 2022, I think the general direction should be up, with some red weeks and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that would be the general direction that I guess, and I would be pretty confident with that guess because of how the weekly RSI works. It looks fairly like clockwork here, and it is a pretty well defined range. This is more of a horizontal range. And it almost looks like after this ridiculous pump, and like this is just one big long accumulation period, recovering from there, like 8 years type of stuff. I mean, this honestly could be the time in late 2022 where it breaks above and stays above. That is completely possible. It looks like this is an 8-year range accumulation recovering from this insanity. That's how I would interpret this. It's an interesting chart. I don't know if I've ever seen a chart like that. All right, let's take a look at Trias. If I could find the damn thing. So you can see Trias is also having that daily EMA crossover. It's already reached, so it's gone above this crossover and come back down to check it. Yeah, with the assumption that Bitcoin keeps moving up, I think, yeah, it looks like Trias is going to try to get closer to $12. With, again, with the base assumption, Bitcoin does get continuation to 50K. I would say Trias flirts with $12. If Bitcoin breaks back down, then I think even if Bitcoin revisits lows at 36, if that were to happen, I think Trias would make an even lower low and hit 440 if that were to happen. Anything in the middle, Bitcoin only going down to 39K, well, I think you just make a higher low and then try again with the same target of, flirting with $12. And that would be an analysis from now till April, I would say. I would say those two things would be the most likely here. It doesn't look like it wants to go sideways. It's going to move strong with Bitcoin either way. If Bitcoin goes down just a little bit, this is going to make a lower low, most likely, because it'll bleed out versus Bitcoin. If Bitcoin races up, this is going to outperform Bitcoin and flirt with $12, depending on Bitcoin's movement. And because it's able to consolidate so much under where these ranges connect, it might not have much trouble getting above it, because it's not just racing up to it. Yeah, kind of like it consolidated under it here and then just flew above it. I could see something very similar happening to what happened back in August. I could see something like that, and that would take you up, to $11. But I think the ultimate target would be closer to just under 12. I could almost see almost an identical thing happening, because it's looking like it's consolidating right under that point, which is healthy. It's a lot healthier than what Bitcoin is doing, in my opinion. Thanks, Virginia. All right. Now let's take a look. Okay, Solana, then MTV, and I'm going to have to wrap up here. Solana's having some trouble. I like that it's consolidating on top of both its daily 10 and 21 before it races up. So I'll give you two scenarios. If Bitcoin does charge up to 47 to 50, and if it doesn't, and we get a rejection around here, which is possible. I think both are still highly in play. I think there's maybe a 60-40. So I would say 60%, 40%, but 40% is still a very big chance. In terms of Bitcoin analysis and the overall traditional market, really. I would say that because it's consolidating on top of its 10 and 21 EMA, if Bitcoin screams up to 47, Solana's going to hit on that triangle there, which is essentially connecting all the highs here. I would give that the target. So somewhere between roughly 150 to 160, somewhere around there, within that $10 range. and I think the timing of it would be this triangle. So between now and really early March, so within a month, I could see it easily getting up. Yeah, 140. What did I say? 140 to 150. Probably closer to 150 if I had to guess. I think it would want to charge up to that line, which does align with this recent. Let me take off the EMA fill. From a structural standpoint, it's both this diagonal and this horizontal here at the same time. And it'll probably want to race right up to it because they both align at the same rate. So this consolidation on top of the daily EMAs is actually really healthy, and it could make a move straight up there. Straight up there. What it's doing? Yeah, I'm surprised though it's having so much hesitation right now. I don't know if that's news oriented or not, but and if Bitcoin comes back down to fill its gap first, I could see Solana heading back down closer to 102. I would say it at least tags this area here. 102 would be my guess. Under the two main ideas of Bitcoin price action. And obviously, if Bitcoin goes down farther than that, then this is going to hit lower targets. But those would be my two targets depending on Bitcoin's price action throughout February and early March. All right, MTV. Greetings from Ireland. All right. Nice to have you. That's a good move. I wouldn't charge in and buy this now, though. You know, after such a strong move up, I think it needs to come back down and make a higher low. And it's probably getting to the point where it needs to do that because if I could take off these happy range, the macro ranges, you could see that it's both hitting this origin line here. See that origin line that goes across? Which gets a lot of action. See how it was support here, resistance there, and if I went farther back, it's the same idea. And it was all the support here, is the resistance there. Not only do you have it hitting that resistance point, but on a more horizontal, so take those off, it's also hitting the point of control of the happy range box, the bottom of it, which is going to be strong resistance. But at the same time, put back on the origin lines, additional resistance is that origin line. So I would say right now it needs to pull back. It's not going to come up to 1.4 cents before it pulls back is my specific guess. So typically I don't have extremely specific guesses like that, but on this one, I would say I would be very confident that a higher low is going to be formed before it tries up to 1.4, 1.45, 1.4 cents. It needs to cool off. Does it need to tank? No, it doesn't. It could just have some days that look like this. Let me... Oh, don't know what I'm doing here. Hold on. It could just do... What is blocking this in the middle? It's so weird. Why is it... what is covering this? It could look something like this. Well, that's not working. Let me do path. There we go. It could just cool off like this and then charge up. It doesn't have to come way down lower, but I would expect some price movement like this. And it might not take that long either. That might be too much. It just needs like maybe the 4-hour Stokes to come all the way down and then charge up. So honestly, the 4-hour chart might be a good one to look at for this. I think the 4-hour Stokes need to come all the way down to this line, and then assuming Bitcoin's still strong, then it would make its move up to 1.45 cents. I think it would have a strong chance of doing that. All right. All right, I'll do CGG, and then I gotta be out. CGG and stock, and commodities, or CGG and crypto. All right, CGG and crypto. It looks like it's going to charge right up to 116, assuming Bitcoin stays strong. It's gonna need to pull back after that though. CGG in I guess in stocks. Yeah, that looks bad. It looks like it's going to continue with price discovery down. That's not good. Let's see here. Ugh. Uh, I would say it makes lower lows on this chart. I don't think it's done correcting. I don't know what this is, but that is some pretty severe price action. I don't think it's found a bounce. Uh, Now, if price can close, let's say, a week above 131, I think it would have maybe a 50-50 chance of that being the low. And once it closes a week above 317, I think you'd have like a 80% chance of that being some type of low, or a low that holds throughout 2022 and 2023 probably for a couple years. I would just increase my or change my statistics based on weekly closures above these lines. But if it's weekly is below this line, it is greater than 50% chance that it will find lower lows. And then once it crosses this line, it's maybe 50-50 that this is a low for the next 2 years. And above a week closure above that line, I would say it's an 80+% chance that that's a low for the next couple years. All right. Okay, I have to wrap this one up. And again, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10:30 a.m. New York City time. We'll join again. And if you like what you see, again, I do 8 of these a week on Discord. And you don't just have to type. You can literally just turn on your microphone and ask me questions. And also get input from other people within the community. For example, a lot of the input's really valuable. For example, how I started off this stream with one of my VIPs having showed me suggesting that I take my macro range and tilt it, and I find it extremely valuable, and that helps, everybody at the same time. So it's not just one person, in a mono direction, giving information. If you like these live chats, but anyway, I'll keep doing these I plan to keep doing these on YouTube for, a decent amount, Tuesdays, Thursdays, same time, and patas verdes, and we will see y'all next time. Thanks.